Well, that's actually not surprising, Dave. I mean, the same thing is happening up here in Canada. TSN, which is, of course, the primary and the main sports broadcaster, doesn't pay attention at all to UFC, where you have something like The Score, does a lot with MMA and WWE. And then Sportsnet seems to be the one that's really diving into UFC. And I'm wondering if on your end you've heard anything, because the FX brand is going to be new to Canada on November 1st is when it's actually launching up here. And it's with Rogers Communications as well, who owns Sportsnet. Do you know if everything up here will be just carried on FX, or will they be flipping it over to Sportsnet? Have you heard anything?
I actually asked that question, and the answer was, I don't know.
Okay.
They don't. I don't think they're so busy with the United States that they really haven't figured out Canada yet. But they're, I mean, if it's the same FX as in the States, then you're going to get it, but I don't know if it's going to be an FX Canada.
Well, that's
the thing. I don't know the answer.
Most of the time when a U.S. station heads up here, it's an entirely different entity and really just keeps the name, right? Like HBO Canada is not the same as HBO you're getting in the States, right?
Yeah, so who knows what will happen. I just remember when I was up there for the St. Pierre fight, there was one of the stations, and I think it was Sportsnet, where it was just like it was just constant coverage of that show. And I just remember all that coverage of the St. Pierre fight with Jake Shields. It was like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, and with this move, I mean, it does actually work for Canada. Rogers basically owns all of UFC. I mean, they own both channels that are carrying UFC. They already have a deal in place. So as far as Canada goes, Rogers will have all broadcast rights for UFC.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing about that, though, is it actually makes it tough, though, because some cable systems in Canada don't carry specific Rogers programming, whereas they all pretty well carried Spike, right?
I guess so.
It depends. Sportsnet is a regional base. They have different programming on in different regions. That's how they got their license.
I'm using my father as an example.
Yeah.
The cable system he doesn't get Rogers Sportsnet. And once he loses Spike, he's not going to be able to see any UFC at all.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, we'll see where FX penetrates into.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it won't. I know Lance and Brian were talking about this on their show. It won't have the penetration that they had with Spike.
No,
I don't believe.
Not in Canada. I don't think so.
Well, then